Testing, testing, 1 2 1 2. Welcome to House Culture Conversations. How's everybody doing? We are here, Father's Day weekend. To all the fathers, happy Father's Day. I trust you will have a weekend for you where maybe you can get out with the friends and have a good time, get away for a little bit. But appreciate all the fathers who take care of their business. Enjoy your weekend. But tonight, we're headed to a special place with a special person, and I'm super excited. So as you guys come into the room, that's my jam. I see you, DJ Soul Dave. Welcome on in from the other side of the pond. So good to see you. We are going to have a good time. Crazy Berry Town. Let's get it in here. How are you?
I'm great. Good evening. How are you?
I am amazing. So excited, interested, and to have this conversation. I'm so many superlatives I could use. A person I've wanted to have a chat with for a while, from having an opportunity to be a part of your stream and a part
Yes.
of your community. So really beautiful people, and we're gonna have a great time tonight. Once again, as the fam comes in, we appreciate you guys so much. So I'm going to just start with how are you?
I am great. I thank you. That's my jam. Hi. I'm riding on a high. I really am. I feel like I'm floating in the clouds. I just was saying backstage about this thing that I won from a local realty company, and they revamped my house in 24 hours, and um I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude and yeah, it's been amazing. So I'm riding high right now, like I'm flying in the clouds. It's amazing. I feel
Well,
great. Yeah,
that is awesome.
yeah.
And that's pretty special.
It is. It is. My friends. So my friends, my mom friends from my son's school nominated me, and a lot of the staff at the school nominated me because we've had a rough go of it the last couple of years of my husband passing, and it's been rough, and they just felt like we needed a little something special, and we won. And so we had landscaper, interior designer, painter, organizer, house cleaners, and they transformed our house, sort of like on the HGTV shows, in 24 hours. And they put us up at a hotel, and we came back with blindfolds, and it's been a whole thing. So I feel really full, um, really, really grateful. Just I feel great. I feel really great, and just so appreciative of people thinking of us, as we go through what we're going through. So yeah, it's pretty great.
Indeed. Timosius, we see you. Thanks for vibing with us. If you didn't catch that interview, all these interviews are replayable on YouTube for the fam because I know some of us are busy and on the go, and sometimes it's not easy to be there live, but we make this available to you at your leisure. So tell me a little bit about where you're from, where you
Yeah,
grew up, all of that good stuff.
yeah. So I am from New Haven, Connecticut. I grew up um, there with my mom. So most of my life there, most of my childhood, I lived with my mom, but we lived with my aunt. And I'll say more. If you ask this question that I saw, I'll talk more about that. But that was a really great thing for me because my aunt was like my second mom. Yeah, I grew up in New Haven, Connecticut. I'm a total Yankee. I love being a Northerner. But I came to Atlanta. I graduated from high school, and I came to Atlanta and never looked back. So I've been in Atlanta since '92. I came here to go to undergrad, and I did my grad work here. Um, I got married, and we, raised our son. I have been raising, my son, and I love it here. I think I'll be here in Atlanta for a while. So, yeah,
That's awesome. Now, growing
yeah.
up, were you part of a musical family of
Not
sorts?
at all. No, not at all. So my mom and all the women in my family, most, even the women that married in, were all educators. And I am too. I'm a college professor. And the men worked on the railroad. My grandfather, he's in a museum in Virginia. He's the first Black chef on Norfolk Southern Railroad. And then his son and my cousins all work for the railroad in some form, even if it's the local, public transportation. They work on the train station. So I did not, but I feel like a big part of my childhood and the musical connection was my aunt ran a juke joint in the basement of our house where I grew up. And so my room was in the basement, right? So those weekends I had to sleep upstairs in my mom's room, but it's not the biggest house, so I heard everything. So my friends would tease me growing up, like, "How do you know Ohio Players songs?" or "How do you know all the words to Earth, Wind and Fire?" or whatever, because I heard the juke joint every weekend. So I feel like every weekend, even though I wasn't in the basement in the club, or whatever, I heard all of that great soul and funk and R&B. And then when they got really drunk and sleepy, they play gospel. It's crazy. So,
Yeah,
so I feel like I
isn't
got a
that
good
funny? Yeah,
foundation.
isn't that funny how once they're
Right,
smashed, they're
right.
bringing out the gospels, the soul stirs, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the soul stirs, exactly. That's when I knew I had to like start faking sleep when the gospel would come on. I'm like, okay, it's almost over. They're gonna be coming upstairs. Go to sleep. So that was my cue. Yeah.
That is incredible. So now, one thing, what's your aunt's name?
My aunt's name is Barbara. She passed
Barbara.
away, unfortunately, in 2008. She was an aunt, and I saw in the chat, aunts are the best. They're so special.
Yes.
She was like a second mom, but more importantly for me, she was really a friend, like my best friend. And my mom was a single mom. My whole life, my dad split when I was 2, and my mom worked a second job sometimes, and my aunt was that backup. And she's the one that taught me about the birds and the bees, and we would watch Trapper John and Kojak together. So she was my love. Yeah.
Well, hey, big love and prayers.
Thank you.
Aunts are special. They need to
They
have Aunt and
are.
Uncle Day
I know
as
they should.
well.
They totally should.
They absolutely should. So, when did you come across house music?
Yeah, so I came across. I had to think about this, and it came to me pretty quickly. I would in high school. So in New Haven, Connecticut, there's Yale University, and I would go in high school. They would allow high schoolers to come to what they call the AFAM, and the AFAM was this was their what they called it, not me, the Afro American Community Center or something like that. But it was for the African American Student Association. But they had their own like clubhouse, and they would have parties. And up until a certain time of night, high schoolers could go, and that is the first place that I ever heard house music because I was a roller skater. I roller skated, so you hear all the '80s stuff and all that stuff. So I didn't really hear house in the skating rink, not in Connecticut anyway. And I remember hearing house, and if I'm not mistaken, I feel like I said to someone, "What is this? Like, it's not. It's kind of disco. It's kind of not. Like, what is it?" And we were talking about house music, and I'm like, "But we're not at me being crazy bear down. Like, we're not at a house party. What do you mean house music?" And then there was this whole explanation and all this stuff. So I would say it was probably like around 15 or 16. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what was it about house music? Were you drawn to it, or was it just another genre of music? When did you go deep?
I was drawn to it immediately. I loved it. And what was great is being here in Atlanta in college, lots of parties. Um, Even though I went to a PWI, predominantly white institution, I would go over to the AU Center to Morehouse and Spelman and Clark, and they would have, great parties, wonderful. And there was always a segment of house, and I was typically a wallflower. No one would believe it because I love to dance and I teach Zumba, but at a lot of parties, I just didn't dance. But whenever house music would come on, it was over. And what I loved about it was, compared to all the other genres, I felt like house you could dance by yourself. And
Mm.
I would just get out there on the dance floor and spin around and twirl and have a good time. And nobody seemed to, it was not a thing. But other music, you seemed like you needed a partner or something, but not with house. And I felt like I really got more into it when I was in college because every party I went to, they played it every party. So I felt like I got my fix when I would go to those parties. Yeah.
Yes, yes. We're hanging out with Crazy Berry Town on House Culture Conversations. Have a question for her, drop it in the chat. I'll try to keep my eye out for that. But before we go further,
Yeah.
Crazy Berry Town. I can't go further without understanding the origin
Yeah.
story behind Crazy Berry Town.
Right. So Barry comes from my married name. My married name is Barry, and it all started. It all started in a little town. No, I'm just kidding. But it started when my son was probably about 9 months old. He would not go to sleep, and I had this wicker ottoman that had a top that it attached. He would not go to sleep. So I put him in this wicker ottoman to roll him around the house. And he's sitting up there holding on to the edge, like, and I'm dragging him to go to sleep. He's looking around like he's never seen this house before. And I put on my Facebook, like, it was like 3 in the morning. And I said, "Welcome to Crazy Berry Town, where we just spin around the house in wicker ottomans and bedroom slippers or whatever." And it just took off from there. All my friends were like, "It is truly crazy there. Like, you guys are nuts." And it just stuck. So it's all of my branding, my elderberry syrup business, all of my Zumba stuff that I do outside of Twitch, my branding, everything is Crazy Berry Town. So, and it's always, you can, and the other great thing about it is you can take it on the road. My husband was a true comedian. He was so fun. He made life fun. He was funny. And my son got the best of both of us. He's hilarious. And we take Crazy Berry Town on the road. So we could be coming to a town near you. Who knows? I don't know. But so that's where it came from. Yeah, we're crazy.
That's awesome. Now, why do you think house music, you mentioned it's a music that you can actually feel very free dancing and expressing yourself all by yourself? As a matter of fact, I couldn't agree more. I spent
Yeah,
many days when I was a teen just dancing in front of the speaker, having my eardrums pop, and so many other crazy things.
yeah.
But again, to your point, you could do it by yourself. Babu from New Zealand. How
Hi.
are you? It is
Kia
so good to have you and great to see you. Babu and I go back so far, and he loves house music. So, all the
Oh,
way from the other
that is
side of the
so
planet.
dope.
Yes,
Wow.
yes. We appreciate you so much. It is, yeah, I got a smile from ear to ear, Babu, just seeing you in the chat. Big
I
love
love
to
that.
you and trust the family as well.
I did a
So,
lot of research when I was teaching a culture anthropology course, and we had to choose a culture to do a little mini research. And I did a good bit of research on Maori culture in New Zealand. Yeah.
ah,
So, yeah. So it's nice to see you, Babu.
that's it. He must have felt the energy. He
I
felt
know.
the
Yeah.
energy. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So now we went into a pandemic and streaming became a thing.
Right.
Now
Yeah.
we've left that pandemic and streaming continues to be a thing. Why do you think streaming and house music and the culture has gravitated to that?
I think in one word, it's freedom. I think that people feel less restraint. I think that people, and so you started to ask the question about why I think people can dance without a partner. You can dance alone, to house music. And I purely think it's freedom. I think people feel there's something about it, about house music, about house heads, about house culture that just emanates freedom. And so partnering that with streaming, I think it's still a thing because people don't feel the constraints. I mean, when we talk about Twitch, a lot of people came to Twitch because Instagram was limiting, right? You got dinged or shut down for copyright things. Facebook, you only had the same thing, and then I think it was Instagram. You got like 40 minutes or something. I don't remember, but there was too much constraint, and I think people still feel this freedom. I mean, of course, Twitch has limits, right? But in terms of time, a lot of the things that people want to do in terms of music you want to play, like I shake my tail and do Zumba and dangle noodles and stretch and all of that or whatever and drink. People feel like they can, what I feel for me, anyways, I can be myself. People can feel free to express themselves that maybe they can't do if they're getting paid by a club or a promoter or if they're a wedding DJ, which people still do it, but they come back to Twitch for the freedom. They can come back after they're in real life events and be themselves. So yeah.
Now, you actually assume one of the roles that were made famous by Twitch, and that is the moderator.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to ask the question: what do you find intriguing about being a mod
Mhm.
and its relevance in the streaming world?
I like to help. I started out as a streamer. I started out on Twitch as a viewer first, and then I started streaming, and I got the most help and assistance from people that were, I would say, veteran at that time. I started streaming in 2021, but they had been modding for about a year, and they gave me so much help. And so when the opportunity came, I was asked by DJ Chanel B to mod. Instantly said, of course, because I wanted to help. Now she had been streaming for a long time. She actually needed a backup, and she asked me. And I thought that was kind of nice because I didn't feel the pressure, but I wanted to give back what was given to me. I wanted to offer assistance to a streamer. She was a veteran already, but I was new, and my second mod, but they kind of came out at the same time. But Lawanda Baskerville, you've probably seen her name all over Twitch because she's amazing. Um, she had been modding for a lot of people, so she told me, "Here's what you do. You should do this. You should do that." And I wanted to offer, sort of, pay it forward or pay it back, and be helpful. I just like being helpful. Also, clearly and chatty Kathy. I like to talk to people and be the hostess with the mostest. And I look at modding as welcoming people in the chat and all that, but also having your streamers back. And so you can focus when you're the streamer, the DJ, whatever you stream, you can focus on your craft, whatever you're doing. And the mods can take care of the chat if you got your head down and you're doing your thing. So that's how I look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, DJ Paco D is now in the building.
I
DJ
talk
Paco D.
welcome in.
So it's interesting. I have just made the word chat
Mhm.
synonymous with community, and the mod takes care of that community
Yeah. Yeah.
and really makes that community come alive and feel a part.
Mhm.
Versus, you can go into some streams and there's a lot of lurking going on.
Oh
There's,
yeah, for sure.
they're there, but
Mhm.
there's some experiences that are streaming and the chat you can hardly keep up with.
I know. It's
It,
so
it,
true.
it's just
Yeah.
moving and the energy there. And as a streaming DJ, when you see that energy, it rejuvenates the DJ.
Right.
It gives
Right.
him that energy and lets him um, even move more into the groove, because I always say that
Right.
role of the streamer, especially a DJ, is to curate the groove, incite the dance, get
Right.
people moving and
Absolutely.
grooving and have a good time. And the
Yeah.
only way you know that is the chat moves.
Right. I
And
agree. I
I
agree.
think the moderators really help move that and influence that.
Right. I try to look. I watch for trends. I watch for trends. If I'm DJ, if I'm streaming for a DJ, I stream for non DJs too. I stream for other fitness folks and gamers. But when and I still look for trends there too. But I feel like I can grasp it more when it's a DJ. And I go back to the DJs that I mod for sometimes and say, when you did this, the chat went crazy. Especially my quieter DJs. When they do certain things, or they talk more, or they play a game, or ask certain questions, and they get so I try to take notes of that and see when the chat really picked up. What was that thing? So if it is something that's important, and I'm glad you said that you noticed that the chat moves, because I like to relay that back to the DJ. Like, this is when it really lit up, and so now I feel like that's appreciated. So yeah,
Absolutely. Dave is looking forward to the day when he needs a mod. I will tell you, you can get a mod when your community is small. You
absolutely.
don't have to have a big community. I think sometimes it's even more fun sometimes when it's a small group, because you
Yeah,
really get to talk to each other, engage with each other, and enjoy the music,
yeah,
and can watch everything and enjoy everything, and really take it all
for
in.
sure.
Uh,
And mods can bring people to you too. So that's something else to think
mm,
about. I've noticed, um, as a mod and as someone who sees other mods, We kind of have a little community. Like it's sort of like that, even though we're virtual, we
Yeah.
have this sort of like virtual head nod. So sometimes I'll connect with mods and say, my streamer is gonna be on this time. Is your person on? We're gonna raid over you. Because that's my friend, that's my girl or my guy as a mod. So I want to support my mod friend, even though I may not know the streamer or the DJ, but I want to support that person. So sometimes it's even better to get a mod when you do have a smaller community because your mods can help you grow your community. They know people and are branching and webbing out maybe in places that you're not. So I think go on and get that mod.
That's it. That's it. Now, Babu, he sent you Kia Kaha CVT.
Oh
I,
yeah, Kia
I
Kaha.
I didn't follow it, but thought I'd point it out.
Thank you. I saw it and I didn't. You were talking or I was talking. Yeah.
So let's talk about your stream. So you're
Yeah,
a streamer and you do a variety of things.
I do.
So tell us a little bit about the different streams you have, or maybe it's the approach to your stream which brings a lot of variety.
Yeah, I started out so prior to the pandemic, I so I'm a college professor by day, a Zumba instructor by night. So prior to the pandemic, I was teaching Zumba at the mall. There was a studio in the mall, and I was teaching twice a week there and once a week at a church. Then pandemic happened, and we were doing Zoom, but it was through the studio. So I was getting paid, through the studio. I was still on schedule, but through Zoom. But also, again, unless you have the business account, that was limiting also. So sometimes we would have class, sometimes it wasn't regular. But I love to dance and I love Zumba. I love instructing and curating a playlist. And so as a viewer, I said, I don't really. A lot of the fitness streamers were lifting weights, so I was like, I don't know if this is my lane or not, but I'm going to try it because my students who were kind of falling off at the studio, I felt like they would come over to Twitch if I started streaming. So I said, if nobody else will be there, at least my regular mall students will come. So I started on Twitch with Zumba, and then my second sort of foray into going a little bit to the right or the left was the day drinking stream. I was doing a test one day actually, and I was drinking something, and we just ended up talking and chatting, and then it turned into, hey, let's do this again. So that's how I came up with day drinking and chit chat. I'd always done a stretching portion of my Zumba course, my Zumba class. People would leave, and if they wanted to stay, they'd do the stretching. I just wasn't sure that stretching was going to really take off on Twitch. I didn't know. So I did it like a couple of years ago, and it was okay. But it's really taken off again. Like I started it up again, and it is kind of, people request it more. I get more feedback. I get more praise reports, as they say, more feedback and good vibes from the stretching class. A lot of people have talked about how they can do things differently or things that they hadn't been able to do, like touch their toes or reach their hands up over their head, that they can do it now. So it's really kind of taken off. So, people like the Zumba, but the stretching is where it's at. So I don't know what it
Yes.
is. So
Yes. Well, yeah, I tell you, I think that was one of the first streams I caught.
I think it
And
was, yeah.
you were
Yeah,
talking about, hey, I'm not telling you not to do your high energy.
right.
If you're a runner, if you lift weights, if you do a lot of these things, that's great. But you need some of this low impact, some and stretching and to round out your
Hmm.
physical fitness. And
Absolutely.
for me, as I get older, my wealth is my health, and so I appreciate you for that portion
Yeah,
of your stream for sure.
absolutely. Yeah, we need to everybody, all ages. Like my son, I put him in little kitty yoga back in the day when he was just kind of um, needing a little something to do to get his life together. He's chatty like me, and so I said, you just need a little Zen or something. And so I put him in kitty yoga, and he's 11. He still goes to like a yoga for kids. But I think health is wealth for everyone, and you'll become wealthier if you start early and keep doing it. So for him, I feel like he's starting early. He'll be a zillionaire by the time he's up in age. You know what I mean? So and it'll be ingrained in him too. So I agree with you. Yeah, I think
Building
so.
a healthy habit. That is good.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love that. Now, you said
It was a
something
mantra. So
about you were drinking during the day and you're streaming. Maybe I got that wrong.
yeah, yeah.
Clarify
So
that for me.
Yeah, I do a stream called Day Drinking and Chit Chat. And that one is highly requested. I just don't get to it enough. Like I need to just like settle down and do more of them. But people ask me about that one all the time too. But it's literally what I do is it's turned into this thing. My viewers have kind of turned it into a thing where I test wines and ciders and anything in a can. So anything in a can. But my idea is I'm always on the go. Like I'm at the beach, I'm at the pool, and I'm going to a friend's house, and so I want to just grab it and go. And so it turns into this whole thing. So I try to sample, or I bring to everyone things that I try that I want you to like too. I will try bottles of wine and other things like that, but the can I at least have to have one every stream. And then I also do while we're drinking and chit chatting. I talk about my favorite things like Oprah. Do you remember when she did that? Like Oprah's favorite things. So I talk about CBT's favorite things, and it could be a water bottle or a candle. It could be, whatever, a snack or whatever. And I usually do a feature from Trader Joe's because Trader Joe's is my man. I love him. And so I do a Trader Joe's feature every stream. And it's just fun. We just hang out and chit chat and talk and cuss a little bit every now and then, because I do like to cuss in the appropriate places. Don't worry. But it's just a fun time, and and it's different because I'm not up moving, and I can get kind of up close with my viewers. So yeah.
We are hanging out with Crazy Berry Town on House Culture Conversations, and we are learning so much amazing insight and information from this wonderful streamer, but also a person who is um, big about community. And I want to ask you about that because you have a saying. You say it throughout your show, towards the end of the show, and it really resonated with me because there's a authenticity, and
Yeah,
you
thank you.
say finding the joy.
Find the joy.
Where
Yeah.
where where does that come from?
So so I just so when I was growing up, my mom, her thing to me, it could be anything, was always put God first all the time. And um I kind of wanted to come up with my own thing to share with my son. Although I say that to him, I'm finding myself turning into my mother every time I open my mouth. She comes out, but I was trying to think of something else. And joy, when I think of my spirit, and when I think of connecting with other people, what connects me to others is their joy. And so because I want to connect with people, and I want to make new friends and want everybody to be happy, I want you to find the joy so we can connect, so we can all have that connection. So that's why I always say, sometimes I'll say, find the joy, not just any joy. I'm an English professor. So the is a definite article. That means specific. So find something specific, something special, something wonderful that brings you joy because you're worth it and you deserve it every single day. And that's kind of where that came from. I connect with people on joyous things, and if you don't have it, get some so we can connect. So that's where that kind of comes from. Yeah,
Well, I love it, and I use it. I have stole
I love
shamelessly.
it. No,
I
take it.
tell people all the time, find the joy, find
Yeah,
the joy, and
absolutely.
it's so relevant because we are living in times when there are so many people that are hopeless. There's so
Yeah,
many
for
people
sure.
that have challenges and struggles,
Yeah.
and when I feel it's a more empathetic saying. It's like, I
Okay.
know
Yeah.
you're hurting, I'm
Yeah.
hurting, we're all struggling, but we
Right.
have to, in the midst of all of this, find the joy.
Right. And that's why I say it goes together. Find the joy because you are worth it and you deserve it. You're right. So many of us are hopeless. When good things happen to us, and I'm really speaking from a mirror here. We don't think we deserve it. We don't think we're worth that. Whether it's a childhood thing, whether it's things that people have said to us, whether it is something that happened to us that made us, something bad, something traumatic, and we feel like that's all we are ever going to be, is that thing, or that thing that our parents or some boyfriend or girlfriend told us, and we don't think we're worth it. So I always also add, because you are worth it and you deserve it. And I had to kind of say that to myself this last few days with this this house revamped because everybody just was just at one point we had like 30 people in the house. And I got so overwhelmed. I was crying and crying and crying because I just said, I can't believe that everybody's here for me and my son, and they're doing this. This was free. This was the whole house was revamped, organized, landscaping, everything, because we won this and my friends nominated us. And I had to keep saying, Tracy, you are worth it and you deserve it. But people kept saying it, you're so deserving, you're worth it, you're so deserving. I'm like, I don't really feel like it. So I had to kind of get myself together and say, what do you say to everybody at the end of your stream? You are worth it and you deserve it. They were bringing all this joy into my house to make this a happy, decluttered, loving home again. And I'm worth it. Yeah. Yeah. I had to keep saying that to myself.
That
Yeah.
that is it. We are all worth it and very
Right.
deserving, and in many cases, we have earned it. But
Yeah.
with that said, you know, back to house because, and I don't
Hmm.
even want to say back to house because this is house. This is the
Yeah.
community of house, and we all are coming from different walks of life. We all
Hmm.
have our lives and the things that we tend to, but house makes it special.
Yeah. I agree.
Where do you see this thing called house going? And what are the next steps as we build the community?
I think it's infinite. I don't, I think it's just going to keep going. And I say that because I feel like house, it's what's amazing to me about house is it's the same as it was in the beginning. But then you have all these samples. It shows up. You hear house in movies, videos. I think it's just going to keep evolving. I think it's going to keep evolving. But what I love about house is there is this foundation that's never going away, like the true roots of house. But then I think it'll just keep growing, and evolving as generations keep growing and changing. I'm sure I mean, I'm not a DJ or a producer or anything, but I'm sure technology has changed things, for house. Again, all the samples and all of that. I feel like that keeps introducing house to different groups of people around the world, different generations. Like my son, bless his little sweet 11-year-old heart, he knows so much house. Like it's obnoxious. He was at a friend's house or something, and my girlfriend asked me. I can't remember what song it is now because I'm live and I'm nervous. But she said he kept singing some song. It was like, oh, that's just one of the house songs I play every day. And she was like, house music? How does he know house music? I'm like, that's what we listen to in the house all the time. So, and of course, I mod for house DJs, some house DJs. So, and depending upon the time of day and where I am, I have it up on the big screen in the house, and so he hears it and sees the DJs. And one of them, I think, just popped in, DJ Big Ed Smith. So, uh, so, um, so yeah, I think it's just going to keep evolving. It's going to keep doing what it's always done, just keep growing. Again, the foundation is never going away, but it just keeps evolving and turning and moving with the trends, with technology, with new generations. And I don't think it's ever going anywhere. Yeah.
DJ Big Ed Smith, we see you. Thanks for the bits. I appreciate you. Big love for that. Shout out to him. Everybody, make sure you're following everybody in the chat. Good people. See a name you don't know. Click it, hit the heart, welcome in. I've done all the background checks. They have passed our screenings. So we're good folks up in here.
I love when you say that. I've done the background checks. Yeah.
Somebody's going to check me on that too one day. But, with that said, when are you on specifically?
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't really have a real set schedule. I'll tell you why. I used to, but after my husband passed, I took a long break. And then when I came back, I just could not commit, because I felt just really heavy in my grief. And I felt like any given moment, I'm going to be under the bed crying somewhere. I don't feel that way anymore, but it's still really hard to commit, not because of that, but also because I'm a single mom now. And so my son is a champion swimmer, and I have to get him to where he needs to be for swimming and swim meets if he wins, and if then the next day he has to be somewhere else. So it's really hard to commit. So my schedule is kind of all over the place. In addition to my job, I'm a college professor, so even when I had a schedule, it would change at least every 3 or 4 months with my work schedule. So lately, I've been doing Tuesdays at 9 a.m., but that's all about to change because it's summer break and we're going to be vacationing. So I always tell people, turn on your notifications, follow me on Instagram, and check your stories in Twitch. You never know when Crazy Berry Town is popping up. So, but I do know for sure I'll be back on Monday, June 24th. I think I said at noon. So that's
All
because
right,
I'm
so
going on
folks.
vacation tomorrow. I'm leaving tomorrow.
Oh, where are we going?
I am going on my first Virgin Voyages cruise. I'm leaving my kid for the first time
Oh
for
my
this
goodness.
long anyway. So I'm going on
Right.
a solo vacation. I just feel like I needed to um, just just be by myself and just get some quiet. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna turn up. It's Crazy Berry Town. But just I just needed to. I just didn't want to like have to worry about people and where we're going to be and this and that. So I'll be gone until Friday. We're going to the Bahamas and Mexico, and I'm really excited about it. So I'll be back the following Monday at noon for the stretching class, which is called Beats, Breaths, Stretches. So we're going to stretch and breathe and find some joy together. Yeah.
Well, since we are talking in this vein, DJ Soul Dave asked the question: did you
Yeah.
find that house music and the emotions it can stir
Mhm.
help you with grief?
Absolutely. I mean I love to dance to any music. I mean you can put on, a banjo and I'm gonna boogie down. But again, I think about house when I was at that AFAM in high school and how I was at the parties at the AUC and at Emory, and they would, like I said, they had that one segment of house, and I'd be out there dancing by myself. I dance, I'm not going to say every day, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I try to work on my Zumba routines and do stuff almost every day. And I remember literally, I love to twirl. I love a good twirl. And I remember being in the house, listening to house music, twirling and crying and laughing and thinking about my husband and thinking about the joy and twirling a little more and crying and moving. And it was to house music. House, again, you feel free. And some of the and what I love about house too is you have some of the house that you have like the electronic type stuff, and then you have like the Afro beats kind of thing, then you have the traditional, the what I call like the deep roots of house. But all of it makes me feel free. And I remember specifically going to my phone and I have a house playlist, and putting that on and just dropping my head. I had braids, I let my hair down, and I was just crying and crying and twirling and dancing to house. Yeah. When it was all said and done, I was dizzy, but I felt better. So, so yeah.
Absolutely hear you. Absolutely hear you on that one. DJ DCR, we see you. Thanks for
Hi.
vibing with us on House Culture Conversation and Crazy Berry Town. Listen, any last things you would share with this audience as we get ready to figure out where we're going to raid to?
I saw That's My Jam said she liked when I do the where I ask people what they need in my chat. And that also goes along with like that community, and one of the things I want people to do is I want people to feel no matter what, even if it's the drinking stream, I want people to feel better, a little bit better. People might come in like really, really on a high, but I think we can go a little higher, right? Some people might come in feeling a little down, or the day has kind of beat them up. I want them to just come up just a little bit. And I also want people to feel seen in my chat. This is another reason why I think Twitch or streaming in general is not going away, because you have certain spaces, and I hope mine is one of them, certain spaces where you can go and be seen. And that's why I ask, in my chat is exclamation take, and it comes up with a number and a word that corresponds. Like 1 is for love, 2 is for peace, 7 is for hugs. And then there's some funny ones too. And then you put in the chat what you need today. I want to know what you need, because a lot of us suffer in silence. We don't, for shame maybe, or just we just don't want to ask. But we lack because we're just silently suffering. And I want people to come to my chat And if nowhere else, they can put in the chat what they need. And then all of us as a community can see it and believe it and manifest that whatever it is you need, whatever it is that's lacking, will find its way to you. And I want people to feel better when they leave my stream. So that's, I want to leave that with people. If you're streamers, if you're mods, whatever, you want to uplift. You want people to feel better, and that's what I feel about your stream on Thursday, and then we go over to Paco D, and then Yumi Wanda. I love that. I feel like when I get up in the morning, usually I'm listening driving Captain Boots. My son, his streamer name and his social media name is Captain Boots. I'm driving him to school, and so of course he's getting in more house. So, but I feel better when I leave your stream. I feel better when I leave Paco D. When I get to Yumi Wanda and when her stream is over, the Fam Tram Express. I feel better, and that's what I want. I'm not a DJ, but I have a platform, and I want people to feel just, even if it's just a smidge, just a little bit better. I want that for people when they leave my stream. Yeah.
Well, hey, I just am just tickled to be able to have this conversation and learn as much
Thank
as
you.
I do. Now, tell me a little bit about the house scene there before we wrap up. Dream Maker Diva sliding in. What's
Hi, Dream
happening?
Maker Diva. The house scene is lit here. We have I haven't been in a while because it's so hot. I hate the heat. I don't know how I lived here in Atlanta for 30 some odd years because I really hate the heat. When it's the summertime like now, I usually hibernate. But there's House in the Park. House in the Park here is, I think it's Labor Day weekend. And where did it just happen? I can't remember. Well, I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank because I'm live. When I go live, my brain stops working sometimes. But House in the Park is awesome here. It is the whole weekend. It's in Grant Park. I think it's still in Grant Park. They closed down Grant Park during a really bad drought that we had. But it's at Grant Park. It's outside. All like DJs from Atlanta, of course, are here. Like DJ Kemet is here. I went to college with his wife, Aisha. But DJs from all over the country come as well, and it is a huge thing. Outside of House in the Park, there I follow a lot of Instagram pages of promoters and clubs, but there's always something going on. And there's a lot of house heads here that are my friends. They're from Chicago, and they'll text me, "Hey, we're going to see so and so, or so and so's in town, or so and so is playing at this club." And I swear I get texts like every week. So house is a big thing here, and again, like I said, I really feel like I grew up into house once I left Connecticut. When I came here and went to college, because every single party I went to, they were playing house, and I appreciate that, and I love that it didn't stop when I wasn't sure what it was going to be like coming here. I grew up in Connecticut. I traveled the world before I even left for college. I've been so many places, up until I turned 18. But I wasn't sure what it was like here in Georgia, here in Atlanta. So it was so nice to hear the house music. Every single party, you could count on it. You could count on it. And it's still that way today. I mean, I don't club that much. I mean, I'm an old, a mother of an 11-year-old, you know what I'm saying? But I do go out sometimes, and but when I do, it's usually house specific. It is a house event, typically. So if you come to Atlanta, I'm pretty sure every weekend you can find something that is going to give you the house vibes that you want, for sure, without a doubt.
Well, we're going to leave it with Dream Maker Diva, Find the Joy, and we're going to
Yes,
find Susan Estera, who is on right now, and we're going to get
awesome.
this party started and rev it
Yay.
up to another level. And thank you guys so much for being with us on House Culture Conversations. Make sure you turn those notifications on for Crazy Berry Town. You
Yes,
will
thank you.
not be disappointed. I am hitting the raid notification now. We
Thank
will
you
be
so much.
partying with Susan Estera momentarily. For the rest of you who may be on Facebook or YouTube, we will see you next time. Once again, find the joy.
Find the joy.
Hopefully, they made it over there okay.